The Arsenal Pundit Desk. Girona 1, Arsenal 4. Trofeo Costa Brava, Estadio Municipal de Montilivi, Saturday, August 1st, 2026. This is the full match detailed analysis that contains each player ranking on the night. The previous video only contains a condensed recap of the entire match. If you wouldn't mind watching till the end, then here you have all what went down against Girona on August 1st, 2026. This is a no-holds-barred full analysis and may be lengthier than expected. It is based off of full match recap analysis from various pundits. Right, let's get into it. Because this wasn't just a routine preseason stroll. This was a genuine changing of the guard moment for Arsenal. 16-year-old Max Daumann didn't just play, he ran the show. A goal, an assist, 7 dribbles completed, and a mouthful from Victor Gyökeres for ignoring his run that he answered within seconds with the assist for Kai Havertz's opener. That's the kind of response you can't coach into a kid. Layer on top of that, a scoring debut for £34 million signing Christos Zolis. And you've got two of the biggest storylines of Arsenal's preseason wrapped into one night in Catalonia. Arsenal went out to a Girona side rebuilding after relegation from La Liga and put 4 past them. Havertz, Zolis, Daumann and Gabriel Jesus all on the score sheet, with Anao Martinez's header the only reply. In between 2 Arsenal goals either side of it. For me, that's exactly the statement preseason friendly is designed to produce. No signature back home, no Saka, no Rice, no Raya, no Zubimendi, and yet the level barely dropped. The one-line verdict. Look, in one sentence, Max Daumann announced himself as undroppable from the conversation. Christos Zolis looks like a genuine like-for-like Trossard replacement, and Arsenal barely had to get out of second gear to put 4 past a Girona side that's clearly still finding its feet after relegation. How it unfolded. Kickoff was 1900 British summertime at Montilivi, and Arteta went with a side that blended senior returners with academy talent. Kepa Arrizabalaga in goal, Ben White back from injury at right back, Christian Mosquera and Ricardo Calafiori at centre back, Piero Hincapié at left back, Ethan Nwaneri and Miles Lewis Kelly either side of Kai Havertz in midfield, and a front three of Max Daumann, Victor Gyökeres and Christos Zolis. Arsenal were dominant early, and it didn't take long to show on the scoreboard. In the 16th minute, Daumann produced a brilliant turn and slipped a perceptive through ball in behind, and Havertz did the rest with a composed finish past Paulo Gazzaniga. 14 minutes later, it was 2-0. Zolis, making his first appearance in Arsenal colours outside a closed-doors game, broke through on the flank and squeezed a deflected finish into the bottom corner for his first goal since arriving from Club Brugge. That's exactly the kind of start you want from a summer signing. Immediate end product. Girona responded early in the second half. 5 minutes after the restart, and now Martinez rose to head home from a corner and pull one back. A moment of real quality from a host. Credit where it's due. But Arsenal's reply was emphatic rather than nervy. 3 minutes later, in the 53rd minute, Daumann drilled a powerful finish from outside the box to restore the 2-goal cushion. And just 2 minutes after that, in the 55th, Gabriel Jesus pounced on a loose ball following a Ben White recovery to make it 4-1. From there, the game lost its shape in the best possible preseason way. Arteta made a wave of changes around the hour mark, sending on a raft of academy players. And the closing stages became about fitness and minutes rather than end-to-end football. Arsenal saw the game out comfortably, and the emphasis shifted entirely to individual performances from the fringe and youth squad for the final half hour. The tactical breakdown. This is where I want to focus on 2 things. How Arsenal created their first 2 goals, and what the second half chaos tells us and doesn't tell us about squad depth. In the first half, Arsenal's front 3 showed exactly the profile Arteta will want come the real season. Daumann operating off the left/inside channel gives you a genuine dribbler who can beat a man in tight areas. That's what led directly to Havertz's goal. A turn and a through ball that Girona's backline simply couldn't cope with. Zolis, meanwhile, looked every bit the direct player Arteta had described pre-match, getting the ball facing goal and looking to attack space immediately, rather than needing 3 or 4 touches to get up to speed. His goal came from exactly that instinct, breaking on the flank and having the composure to get a shot away even under pressure, taking the deflection kindly. For me, the really instructive detail is where Girona hurt Arsenal from a set piece, and now Martinez's header came from a corner. And it's a fair, evidence-backed observation that even a much-changed Arsenal backline was vulnerable in the air at a dead ball in the moment right after halftime. When concentration levels dip, and personnel had shifted. That's not a huge alarm bell in August, but is the kind of pattern a pundit flags rather than ignores. What I loved from Arsenal's response was the speed of the reaction, conceding and hitting back within 3 minutes, then adding a fourth 2 minutes after that is exactly the game management but aggressive mentality Arteta once instilled. There was no sitting back after Girona's goal. Arsenal went again immediately, and Daumann's outside the box strike showed real composure for a 16-year-old in a moment where a lesser player might have been rattled by conceding. The second half, post substitutions, is harder to draw hard tactical conclusions from. 8 changes disjointed the shape for both sides, and that's normal and expected for a preseason friendly of this kind. I wouldn't read too much into defensive shape after that point. It becomes individual duels and fitness work, rather than a coherent system being tested. Player ratings, the pundit's verdict. Kepa Arrizabalaga, 6. Started ahead of a resting David Raya in his home country, had very little to do all evening, and did what was required of him without force. Ben White, 7. First minutes back after the knee injury that ended his season prematurely, and a genuinely encouraging return. Worked tirelessly, made good runs forward, was solid defensively, and wore the captain's armband. His recovery in the build-up to Jesus' goal was a direct contribution to the fourth. Christian Mosquera, 6.5. With William Saliba sidelined, this was an opportunity to stake a claim at right centre-back, and he took it with a comfortable, composed evening. Ricardo Calafiori, 6. Steady without being tested heavily. No major alarms from the Italian. Piero Hincapié, 6. Solid if unspectacular return to action after his World Cup involvement with Ecuador. Ethan Nwaneri, 7. Heavily involved throughout, drawing plenty of attention alongside Daumann and continuing to look like a player Arteta trusts with responsibility in midfield. Miles Lewis-Skelly, 6.5. Composed in possession, did his job in a midfield that had license to get forward, giving Arsenal's control of the game. Kai Havertz, 7. A clinical, composed finish for the opener was job done. He and Hincapié and Gyökeres were withdrawn together after 33 minutes, part of the planned early rotation. Max Daumann, 9th man of the match, no debate needed. A goal, an assist, top of the charts for dribbles, 7, and second only to White for duels won, 5. Took a rollicking from Gyökeres for ignoring his run and answered it immediately with the assist for Havertz, then added a composed, powerful finish from outside the box in the second half. Arteta's own words, this time he's starting, assisting, scoring. I think today he had a really good game. Victor Gyökeres, 5. Only 30 minutes on the pitch, worked hard and made good runs, but should have been played through by Daumann for a clear chance and didn't get on a score sheet himself. Christos Zolis, 8. The other headline story. A scoring debut. Joint most shots, 2 for Arsenal, and the most touches in the opposition box, 6. Looked direct and dangerous every time he received the ball. Combined well with new teammates and gave real early signs he can be the Trossard alternative Arteta signed him to be. Gabriel Jesus, 6. Got his goal after pouncing on the loose ball from White's recovery, which would do his case for regular minutes no harm, though there were a couple of missed chances in there too. Fabio Vieira, 3. Off the bench and did very little of note in his time on the pitch. Marley Salmon, 6. Some good defensive moments when called upon after coming on. Braden Clark, 5. Helped the young backline hold out and avoid conceding again, which will have pleased Arteta. Louis Copley, 5. Looked a solid defensive presence, a couple of good defensive actions in his cameo. Andre Harriman Anus, 5. Some good hold-up play, though didn't quite manage to bring Jesus into dangerous areas. Cedric O'Neill, not applicable. On among the raft of second-half academy substitutes, didn't have enough of an imprint on the game to single out fairly. Man of the match, Max Daumann. Unsung hero, Ben White. A first appearance back from a serious knee injury, and he was directly involved in the build-up to Arsenal's fourth goal. Most improved/standout debutant, Christos Zolis, a scoring, confident first outing in Arsenal colours. Young player of the match, Max Daumann. New signings under the microscope, Christos Solis, £34 million from Club Brugge. This is exactly the start Arteta would have wanted. A goal on debut, direct running at defenders, 6 touches in the box, and a level of confidence in linking with teammates that you don't always see from a new arrival in their first outing. Arteta's own assessment afterwards was glowing. The connection he's already generated with the boys. He's a very direct player. He's got the ball between the eyes. Really good at linking up. He has a lot of similarities with Trossard in a lot of the things that he can do and the spaces he can occupy. For me, the tactical fit looks natural already. He's stepping into a role, not trying to reinvent it. And that's the quickest way for a new signing to feel comfortable. Ilan Melier, free transfer, Leeds United. Named among the substitutes but did not feature in this one. Nothing to assess on the pitch yet. Currently third choice behind Raya and Kepa. Youth to watch. Max Daumann, 16. Covered extensively above, but it bears repeating from a development standpoint. This was not a cameo. This was a full statement performance in a starting role, backed up by underlying numbers. Most dribbles on the pitch, second for duels won. Arteta was explicit that the days of kid globes are over. Expectations should be high and should be expecting really good things. We know what he's capable of doing. For me, that's a manager publicly signaling this is now a genuine first team option, not a project being nursed along. Ethan Nwaneri, 17. A heavily involved, composed evening in central midfield alongside Lewis Kelly, continuing to look entirely at home in senior football. Miles Lewis Kelly, Braden Clark, Louis Copley, Marley Salmon, Andre Harriman Anus, all giving valuable minutes as part of the 8-man raft of second half changes. None had a standout moment worth overhyping, but that's fine. Preseason friendlies against senior opposition are exactly where you want fringe academy players getting exposure, and several, Clark, Copley in particular, did their defensive job without incidents. The numbers that matter. I want to be straight with you here. Beyond the individual numbers reported for Daumann, 7 dribbles, 5 duels won, and Solis, 2 shots, 6 box touches, independently verified match-wide statistics, possession splits, total shots, XG, were not consistently corroborated across multiple sources for this specific fixture at the time of writing. I'm not going to throw a possession percentage or an XG figure at you that I can't stand behind with 2 credible sources, because that's exactly the kind of thing that erodes trust with an audience. What I can tell you, backed by report after report, is that Girona managed only one real moment of quality, the Martinez header, while Arsenal scored from a defense-splitting through ball, a driven low finish, a strike from distance, and an opportunistic pounce on a loose ball. That's a spread of goal types that tells you more about attacking variety than any single start line would. Key moments, chronological rundown. 1. 16th minute, Havertz opens the scoring. Daumann's turn and through ball. Havertz finishes calmly past Gazaniga. 2. 30 minutes, Zolis doubles the lead. Breaks on the flank. Deflected finish into the bottom corner. First goal in Arsenal colours. 3. Half-time, 2-0 Arsenal. Total control. Comfortable interval for Arteta's side. 4. 55th minute, Anao Martinez pulls one back. Header from a corner. Girona's best moment of the night. 5. 53rd minute, Daumann restores the 2-goal cushion. Powerful strike from outside the box, 3 minutes after conceding. 6. 55th minute, Gabriel Jesus makes it 4-1. Pounces on a loose ball after a Ben White recovery. 7. 33rd minute, Havertz, Hincapié and Gyökeres withdrawn together. Planned early exit for the 3 World Cup involved starters. 8. 62nd minute, mass substitutions. 8 changes reported. Academy contingent flooding on for both sides. 9. Full time, 4-1 Arsenal. A dominant, comfortable opening preseason result. 10. Post-match, Arteta press conference. Confirms the club won't sit still in the transfer market and praises both Daumann and Zolis by name. What happened? Daumann assisted Havertz opener with a turn and through ball, then scored himself from outside the box in the 53rd minute, finishing top of the dribbles charts, 7, and second for duels won, 5. The pundit take. For me, this wasn't a cameo full of flair with no end product. This was a complete performance with end product attached. I think Arteta's post-match language, expectations should be high, tells you everything about where this kid sits in the pecking order now. Why everyone's talking about it. Multiple outlets independently rated Daumann as their standout player of the match, with ArsenalInsider.com giving him a 9 out of 10, and Sky Sports and The Standard both leading their reports with his goal and assist. The Pandit take. I'll be honest, a debut goal doesn't always mean much on its own, but combined with the underlying numbers, most box touches on the team, joint most shots, this looked like genuine tactical fit rather than a fluke finish. White made his first appearance since a serious knee injury ended his previous season, started at right back, wore the captain's armband, and won the ball back in the build-up to Gabriel Jesus' goal. The Pandit take. A genuinely important story buried slightly under the two teenage headlines. A fit functioning White is a major boost for Arsenal's backline heading into the season, and the fact he was straight back to a captain's armband level of performance is a good sign. Number 4, Girona's set-piece goal, a defensive flag for Arsenal. Arnau Martinez headed home from a corner 5 minutes after halftime, Girona's only goal of the night. The Pandit take. I want to be careful not to overstate this. This is one goal in a pre-season friendly against a match-change Arsenal backline. But set-piece vulnerability straight after the restart is a pattern worth flagging, not ignoring, even in August. While everyone's talking about it, the goal was widely reported consistently as the key moment of Girona's response. Arteta told reporters, "We are really active, trying to improve and evolve the team. We won't sit still," while declining to be drawn on specific reported targets. The Pandit take. This is context, not a match event, but it's a genuinely significant line from the manager. Coming off a title win, he's publicly signaling the ambition hasn't dropped, and it's worth putting alongside the individual performances of Dauman and Zolis when you think about squad depth heading into the season. What Arteta got right: 1. Trusting Dauman with a starting role and license to go and head Girona. Not a 20-minute cameo, a full attacking role, and the response was a goal and an assist. That's a manager backing his own judgment on a 16-year-old, and it paid off immediately. 2. The planned staggered withdrawal of the World Cup involved starters. Havertz, Hincapié, and Gyökeres were all taken off together after roughly half an hour, having only just returned to training following international involvement. That's sensible load management rather than risking players who are behind on fitness. 3. Signing Zolis as a specific defined replacement rather than a speculative punt. Arteta's own description of the similarities to Trossard's role and spaces suggests real tactical planning went into this signing, and the debut backed that up on the pitch. What Arteta needs to fix: 1. Sort out the set-piece defending, even in these low-stakes settings. Conceding from a corner right after halftime against a Girona side missing plenty of its own senior players is the kind of detail a top pundit flags even in a game Arsenal won 4-1. 2. Get more end product from Gyökeres in these runouts. Only 30 minutes and no goal, and a missed chance when played through. Not a concern in isolation, but worth watching as pre-season progresses, since a fully sharp Gyökeres is central to Arsenal's attacking plans. 3. Use the remaining fixtures to actually test settled combinations, not just spread minutes. With 8 changes disrupting the second half, there's a balance to strike between giving academy players exposure and building understanding among players who actually start the Coventry season opener. If you got this far, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Looking ahead to the next one, Arsenal travel to Dublin to face Real Betis on August 5th in their next pre-season friendly. As informed prediction rather than fact, expect Arteta to continue rotating heavily and manage minutes for the World Cup involved contingent, Havertz, Gyökeres, Hincapié, as they build up fitness, while Saka, Rice, Raya, and Zubimendi, all still to return to training as of this fixture, remain doubt for involvement. Don't be surprised if Dauman and Solis are given further minutes to build on tonight's platform. And keep an eye on whether Gabriel and Martinelli, who trained but weren't involved against Girona, are eased into the squad. What the rest of the football world is saying: fact, Arteta on Dauman. This time he's starting, assisting, scoring. I think today he had a really good game. And separately, expectations should be high and should be expecting really good things. We know what he's capable of doing. Fact, Arteta on Zolis. I'm very pleased with him. The connection he's already generated with the boys. He's a very direct player. You're going to love the player. Fact, Arteta on the transfer window. We are really active, trying to improve and evolve the team. We won't sit still, and we are very ambitious in what we want to do. Fact, Girona captain Christian Stuani, pre-match, said facing a team of Arsenal stature would help Girona grow and prepare for their own season. 5 things we learned tonight. 1. Max Dauman is not being managed as a project anymore. He's being played and talked about like a first-team option. 2. Christos Zolis looks like a genuinely well-scouted, ready-made replacement for Trossard, rather than a gamble. 3. Ben White's return from injury is on track, and he's straight back to captaining sides in pre-season. 4. Even a heavily changed Arsenal backline has a mild set-piece vulnerability worth monitoring, not ignoring. 5. Arteta is not treating this as a lap of honor after the title. His post-match message was pointedly about further squad improvements, not satisfaction. The questions every fan is asking: is Dalman ready to be a genuine squad option this season, not just an academy prospect? On this evidence, yes, a starting role, a goal, an assist, and language from Arteta that suggests the club sees him the same way. Was Zolis's goal a fluke of a deflection or a sign of real quality? The underlying numbers, most box touches, joint most shots, suggest it wasn't a one-off. He was Arsenal's most involved attacker by output, not just the scorer of a lucky goal. Should Arsenal fans worry about the goal conceded? Honestly, no. Not from one corner against a heavily rotated backline in a preseason friendly. Worth watching, not worth panicking about. Does this result tell us anything meaningful about the season ahead? Only in the limited sense preseason ever does. Fitness levels, individual sharpness, and squad depth. The opposition, a relegated side rebuilding under a new coach, wasn't the level Arsenal will face in the Premier League, and that context matters. The details casual fans missed. Dalman's assist for Havertz came moments after Gyökeres had visibly remonstrated with him for ignoring a run. The kind of on-pitch accountability between a senior international and a 16-year-old that speaks well of the dressing room dynamic. And Dalman's immediate response, setting up the very next chance, says plenty about his temperament under that kind of pressure. Also worth noting, Havertz, Hincapié, and Gyökeres were all withdrawn together around the half-hour mark, a deliberately synchronized substitution reflecting their shared late return from World Cup involvement, not a tactical reaction to anything going wrong on the pitch. Full-time verdicts. Look, it's preseason, it's one game, and the opponent was a Girona side we're building after relegation. So I'm not getting carried away and calling this a title defense blueprint. But as an opening statement, this is about as good as it gets. Two of the biggest storylines of Arsenal's summer, Dalman's emergence and Zolis's arrival, both delivered in the same 90 minutes. Senior players like Ben White returned from injury and look sharp. And even without Saka, Rice, Raya, and Zubimendi, the level of performance barely dipped. The concern, conceding from a corner right after halftime, is real but minor, and entirely fixable with more minutes together as a unit. For me, this is an 8 out of 10 night for Arsenal. Not because the opposition demanded it, but because of exactly what they showed without needing to be pushed. What did you make of Dalman's performance? Genuine first team option already, or still want to be patient with? Does Zolis's debut change how you feel about losing Trossard? And what's the one thing you want to see fixed before Coventry on August 21st? Let me know. See you at the next one. If you got this far, it means you love the analysis. Please like and share this video amongst other Arsenal football lovers and subscribe to the channel. Also subscribe to the Telegram link shown on screen and in the pinned comments below so you do not miss any news from the Arsenal camp.